on our backs. And, yeah, just take a little moment here to let the body settle. I'm aware you work. So yeah, just taking that. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you again. We're using a belt and a block. And we're going to just take this time to connect with our breath. So you can place your hands over your lower ribs comfortably. You're not having to put, just let them rest comfortably. And then take a breath and notice the movement of the hands as you breathe in and out. You don't need to force this. Just noticing at the moment. We can maybe do something a bit more complicated later, but for now, just keeping it very simple. In and out through the nose. So now we're going to use our block or bolster if you're using a bolster, and basically we're just going to put something under the hips, under the lower back, so you're a little bit raised. And some of you might enjoy having something higher, like a bolt, but it doesn't have to be a huge lift, so don't be put off if you've only got a small thing, but you might enjoy something a little bit bigger. So and it's important for it to feel stable so that you feel supported. And then we're going to just pick up the right knee, we're going to hug it in, and you can extend through the left leg. So straighten the leg. And it should feel good, so make sure that you're feeling comfortable at this point. We can make this more dynamic by pressing out through the heel of the left leg and sort of driving that heel away and lifting the right knee. But equally, it's not necessarily what you need at this moment to go for the strongest, biggest stretch, but you just have the range of more gentle restorative and something more dynamic if you want to go there, take it into something stronger. And now we're going to just swap legs. So pick up the left leg and extend the right leg. And now let's just swap. So we're taking the right leg, the right knee. And at this point, we're going to bring the belt into the equation. So we're going to take the belt and loop it over the ball of the right foot. Now, this is where we get to be really interested in what's going on in our shoulders. And you'll be thinking that this is a pose that is more about your lower body, but let's just see, how you choose to hold the belt before I won't guide you. You can just, take hold of the belt and grip it, and then notice if that's creating a bit of tension around the shoulders. And so some of the things that I notice in myself is that I hold up very, very high because I want to really get hold of that foot. And you don't necessarily need to. You could hold the belt much lower down. And a little bit of tension can sometimes creep in, and I lift up the front of the shoulders as I'm gripping the belt. And I don't really need to. So these are all little things you can notice. Also, maybe the tops of the shoulders are moving up towards the ears. They don't need to go that way. So can you kind of get a firm grip on the belt without adding any tension in? And in fact, can you remove some tension? So, and yeah, we do want to stretch that right leg, but it doesn't have to be the biggest stretch in the world. You can bring some softness in as well. You can soften the knees. And I'm going to extend through my left foot, but if you're wanting something a little gentler, then keep that left foot on the floor and don't press it away. So we will, in a moment, we're going to take that right leg out to the side, out to the right side. So you can hold the belt in the right hand and allow the foot to move away. And again, we want to maintain some sort of sense of control without adding in loads of tension to the shoulder. So we kind of let the tops of the shoulders drop down, let the front of the shoulder drop back towards the floor. And hold the belt. You don't have to be holding the belt right up next to the foot if that's yanking your shoulder. And another thing, you can always bring a bend into the knee to make more comfort for your shoulder. So these are all little adjustments that you can choose. So we're going to bring the foot all the way up. We're going to bend the knee and we're going to make it as though we were doing a lunge, like a lunge shape with the leg, so that the foot is above that knee, and we're going to keep that foot quite active, but we're going to use the belt to draw the foot down, so the foot presses into the belt and the belt pulls the foot back. And maybe the knee can line up with your armpit. You can also bring your right arm and press it into the outside of the knee, just to add a little bit of sort of interest. So you've kind of got that feeling of the knee pressed right up into the arm and the arm pressed into the knee. And then we'll release the foot. So we'll bring the foot all the way back down. We're going to do the other leg. So let's just pick up the right foot. And then we're going to, left foot, getting my sides left and right muddled up. So we're holding the belt, but remember, can you hold that belt in a way that's optimal for your shoulders? So adjust them a little bit. You can squeeze your shoulder blades in. You can sort of make a conscious effort to drop your shoulders down away from your ears, so there's more space between the ears and the tops of the shoulder. You can bend the knee, and that will make it maybe a little nicer if you're yanking, if you're feeling that you're being yanked a little bit by the leg. Keep breathing. And now we will take the foot out to the side. So we're going to hold the belt in the left hand. And the foot's going to move out to the side. And please adjust your shoulders a little so that you can hold the belt and not feel like you're under strain. And yeah, so just, and I forgot to say this on the other side, but we do try and keep the right hip down, as I think you know, but it might lift off, but can you press it back down again, the right hip buttock? And if you're finding that there's a yanking sensation in the shoulder, then maybe just bend the knee and that will lessen it. It's a little more at ease. And now bring your foot slowly up. So we're going to bend the knee as though we were taking a lunge. But obviously we're in a completely different position for the lunge, but imagine that this was a lunge and that you were pressing your foot towards the floor, knee in towards the armpit. And the foot's quite dynamic, so the belt pulls on the foot and the foot presses against the belt. And we've got a right angle. And you can also sort of press the outer arm into the knee. That feeling of connection between the arm and knee. And now let's just release the foot. So you can put your belt to one side now. You can pick up your both feet. Hopefully you're feeling secure on your little support. Pick up the feet and hold them. Press them together. So it's like a Supta Baddha Konasana, but we've got the feet up. Yeah, press the feet together and gently pull the feet towards you. And press your knees away. There's a lot of different movement, direction of movement. And the shoulders as well, you know, can you very consciously drop them back and down? And then, well done. Let's release the feet and we will bring them to the floor. Lift your hips gently, put your support, whatever you're using, to one side. And then we're going to roll onto our side and come up. And from here, come into all fours. So starting with your hands, really sort of press down through your hands, look at your hands. Can you really evenly press through the joints of the hands? So, and then press back into your feet. So we're going to stay on the front of the feet for the moment. So press the toenails down. And we'll take a little cat stretch. So we're going to round the back, chin towards the chest. And as we do that, we're going to re-engage those abdominal muscles so that it's a contraction of the front of the body. And you can make that quite exaggerated, really rounding the back to do that. Feel a sort of, real contraction from the pubic bone up. More exaggerated than you would perhaps normally. Press into the front of the feet and see if you can lift your knees. So it's a little bit stronger now, a little bit more powerful. And if you want to hold that, you can, but otherwise just come down. You don't feel like it has to be very long that we hold this. Just to add a little bit of more power, and then we'll come to neutral. And now we're going to lift the head and chest and do the cow, and this time it's the contraction in the back body. So squeeze your thighs together, gently firm your, sort of press your buttocks together, and then feel those muscles along the posterior chain, along the spine. You kind of gently squeeze them in, and it is a gentle, it's like a hug sensation of those muscles, and between the shoulder blades as well. And as you do that, hopefully a feeling of the chest broadening, the collarbone broadening. So it's a little back arch. And then we'll come to neutral. And we'll do this again. So take a cat stretch, so really contracting those belly muscles, rounding the back. Lift your knees if you wish. It could just be for a moment, or you could go a little bit stronger and hold it for longer. So on the front of the foot, so it's a bit different from when you're on the ball of the foot. And then we're coming down, pausing for a moment. Come back to neutral position with your spine, and then we'll take the back arch. So squeeze your thighs together, gently pressing your buttocks together. And again, it's muscles all the way up the spine that we're trying to gently press in towards the spine. It's quite difficult to keep my mind on every part of the back. I'm very conscious of some parts of my back, and other parts I feel are a little bit lost to me. So you might notice that for yourself as well, that you kind of feel some bits and forget about other bits. And then come to neutral. So, by the way, just have your belt nearby. We're not going to use it quite yet, but make sure it's nearby because it will be useful in a minute. And then tuck your toes under, come into downward dog. Pick up the right foot, take it away. So we're going to really firm the left buttock, because the left buttock is stabilizing you in this movement. So can you press it in? And then we're swinging the foot forward. So we're coming into a lunge. From here, we're going to come up to a high lunge. And let's just bend the elbows so that we're not thinking about the shoulders, trying to keep the shoulders nicely in a sort of peaceful sort of state. So I'm thinking elbows around shoulder height, but depending on what's going on for your shoulders, you might actually prefer them even, the elbows even lower, and back a bit maybe as well. You can experiment with those different positions and find the one that feels really good. Keep the jaw soft, because there's a real connection from the jaw down. If you're kind of gripping tightly around the jaw, then that's going to influence how you hold your shoulders. We're going to take the hands behind us, interlace them, press the knuckles down, and now come up with your back knee. So we're going to take a forward movement with the torso, but we want to feel very, very stable as we do that in the legs. So really sort of engage your inner thighs, pressing in. That should create more stability. So the inner thighs we're going to touch, and then we're coming forward. We don't have to go very far. And the right buttock is very much sort of stabilizing you here. And be mindful of your shoulders, keeping them nicely positioned, not hunching up. You might start to get a bit warm now. Let's just hold it for a breath or two. Maybe you can squeeze the shoulder blades together. Well done. Release the hands down. We're just going to step up with the back foot to take a balance, and you might not go very far. You might want to come up completely, and even take a warrior. And keep that feeling of the standing leg, especially being sort of quite firm, pressing in the hip, the thigh, inner thigh, the right buttocks pressing in. And then we're going to come back and step into downward dog. Walk the feet. Pick up your left foot. So it's your right buttock more stabilizing you here. So can you kind of really sort of firm that in. And then we're stepping forward to lunge. Actually, before we come up, maybe come onto your fingertips here, and let's just adjust the shoulders so that, because I think in this position we can really hold tension, and it's nice not to, and it's really good to practice not having tension in the shoulders. So one way I think is to give yourself more space. So come onto the fingertips and really try and take the tops of the shoulders back away from your ears. And then we're going to come up. Again, you can experiment with the optimum position for your elbows. This is quite popular, isn't it? The sort of cactus shape, but actually sometimes I think it's nicer to come lower with the elbows and back a little bit. We're going to hold our knuckles, or bring the hands behind, press down, and coming up. So this is like, not really, it's not exactly a back arch. That's probably a bit exaggerated, but there's a potential for back arch here. You could kind of swing back a little bit, but really you want to have a feeling of being very firm in the abdominals, in the inner thighs. And engaging the spine a little bit, muscles along the spine a little bit, if you're going to do that. So we're going to come forward, nice, controlled. Really noticing the shoulder. Oh, I've been forgetting to tell you about your knees, but I'm sure you're very good and been paying attention to your knees. But do look down at your knees and try and line the knee up with the ankle and the second and the third toe. But we'll look at them again in a minute. Just be aware. They can be behind the ankle. That is okay. We're going to come down, hands down, and then just stepping up into your version of a balance. So if you want to bring the hands up right off the floor, you can. Make that supporting leg very, really strong. So the buttock on that supporting leg, really squeezing in, like it's giving you a hug. Ooh, I'm wobbling like mad here. And then come down and step back to downward dog. Take a long downward dog so that the feet, a little bit further back than perhaps you would normally. Then take your shoulders over your wrists. And then, and this is challenging, I think, pull your shoulders back from your ears towards your heels. And if that feels impossible, bring your knees down and do it with your knees down. And then we're going to lower the body all the way to the floor. We're going to slide our hands back to the lower ribs. We're going to squeeze our knees and feet and thighs together. And we're going to do cobra. So usually I probably usually tell you to have your feet wide, but actually we're going to imagine that we've got a tail as a cobra would, and that we're really kind of making this core, the core of the body work. We're not going to work our hands too hard here. So we're going to squeeze the legs together, squeeze the buttocks, and see if you can begin to engage the muscles all the way up the spine. Pull the shoulders back. And if you lift off, it doesn't have to be a lot. We're not using our hands much. We're going to visualize, that we are, as a cobra would be, no support, just completely from the strength of the core of the body. And no strain, no strain either. But hold it if you can. And then completely flop down. And as you do that, we've kind of tried to engage all those muscles. So now we're going to be really mindfully letting them go. We'll do it again. So again, we're not going to use the hands. We're going to try and keep the hands are there, and it's okay if you put a little bit of pressure into the hands. It's okay, but just as an experiment in using the strength of the body to create the lift. And the head could stay down if you're finding it really hard work. So really find that power. So we're sort of hugging everything in towards the center to create that lift. Very light pressure. The hands should feel light and the shoulders should feel light. Keep breathing and then come down when you're ready. Just completely letting go. The nice thing about when you get everything engaged is that it's very nice to have the letting go. So hopefully it feels more release the more you can engage. We'll do that again. We'll use the hands this time. So the third time you can use your hands. You might find that you don't need them so much. Just when you're ready, squeezing everything in, coming up, pressing down if you feel it helps with the hands, but maybe you found that you don't need them so. So the hands are useful, but sometimes they can push you beyond what your body really needs. Sometimes I think kind of force yourself perhaps into a higher position than is good. So we are we're gonna come back into all fours again. We'll take a little twist, a little gentle twist. So just take your right hand. Actually, the knees can still be together. It's a bit different from perhaps normal. Knees together, and we're just going to take our right arm and weave it under the left. And we're keeping the lower body very stable, very still. So that's why we're squeezing the knees together. So not much is going on in the lower body. We're taking the right arm under the left, and the left hand, if you wish, well, you've got options. It could be stretched away. You could line the hand up with the shoulder, or you could lift the arm towards the ceiling and wrap it around the waist. Trying to keep the twist above the waist, so then breathing. Come out when you're ready, so you can press into your left hand, press the floor away, come back to fours. Before we do the other side, we can do Anahatasana, where we drop the chest, either arms extended or arms bent. Bum above your hips. No, bum above your knees. We seem to get it's a bit of an occupational problem, confusing body parts. And then we'll come back to all fours. And we'll do the other side. So the thing about having the knees together is just to help you keep the body from sort of swaying around, to keep that sense of containment and stability in the lower body, so that you can get the more movement or sort of anchor the lower body and twist the upper body more. Breathe into the back of the body. Breathe into the sides of the body. If you want to lift the hand, right hand, you can do that. Maybe wrap it around the waist. And then coming out, when you're ready, bring the right hand down, press down, come back to all fours. We're taking a downward dog. So tuck the toes under, come into downward dog. And then we're going to pick up the right foot. You can swing it back. Feel the left buttock support you as you do that movement, and then stepping forward. So we're going to come into Warrior 2. So you can pick up your belt as you do this. So have it in the right hand, and then we're going to sweep ourselves all the way up with the left hand. And then a little bit different, we'll take to create a little loop with the right hand, and so we're holding the belt in the right hand, and then the left arm is just going to wrap around the waist to hold the loop. Now I'm aware that some of you might find that you can really comfortably hold the arm and don't need the belt. The idea of the belt is that if you are straining a little bit, it takes that strain out, which sometimes, even if we think we're not straining, we are. So try the belt, even if you think you don't need it, just as an experiment. Can you then feel more easy in the shoulders? So does that make sense? So we're making a little loop with the right hand, and then holding the loop sort of, so it's at the back of the body, and then reaching for it. I mean, I'm sure there's loads of easier, or maybe completely different, but very good options that you could do with the belt. But that's the one that I came up with. So hopefully you've got a nice feeling of light ease in the top body here, and then we can fire up the bottom, the bottom of the body, the lower body. So front knee above your ankle, pressing firmly back into the back foot. And there's a rotation of the thighs. So the front thigh, believe it or not, that is turning out. And obviously that's a difficult thing to do. But what you can do is press out with the outer thigh. And we've done that. We've helped ourselves do that in other sessions by sort of pressing into the outer thigh. So, and you can same principle applies with the back leg. They talk about the rotation of the thighs. So you can kind of press out a little bit with the outer thigh. And now we're going to come down into a version of Parsvakonasana. So we're going to keep hold of the belt. The right elbow is on the right knee. And we're rolling that left shoulder back. So again, it should feel easy for the upper body, not so much so for the lower body. And the shoulders down and back, not hunched up. And sometimes in this pose, I notice I feel like I'm being pulled in impossibly in different directions. So one thing you can do to experiment with bringing energy back to the center is press down with your feet and imagine that you're pulling them back to the midline. Energetically, they're not going to go anywhere. See if that makes a difference. Well done. You can come out now. Release your belt back to the floor. Bring your hands down and take a downward dog again. Let your head drop. So we're picking up the left foot. We're going to support that lift by gently pressing the right buttock in. And then stepping forward. So we're taking warrior 2 on the other side. So the back toes turn out. We're taking the belt in the left hand and we're lifting up. You can make a nice big circle with the right hand. Holding the belt and reaching around to grab the belt with the other hand. So if you want less intensity, then maybe straighten up the front leg, the left leg. And if you feel like you'd like to go a bit deeper, then drop down. The full pose, the front thigh is in line with the floor. I'm not saying you need to do that now, but that is the full pose. So if you wanted to, creep down, creep the foot forward a little bit so you drop lower. But the only thing, what I noticed with myself is my torso falls over the front knee. So the challenge is to stay upright in the torso. Pressing back into the back foot, but also that sense of pulling the feet together. So you've got, I think the term is isometrically. So the sort of resisting the movement, the outward movement by pulling back. Lighten the shoulders. And then we're coming down onto this front knee, we're resting here. If it's possible to call this pose a rest. Hopefully, the belt is helping you keep that right shoulder nicely, gently pulled back. Keep breathing. And now, one more breath. And you get to come out and we're going to take a nice resting pose. So both hands down. Step back to downward dog for a moment. So you've got options. You can take a child pose, or if you prefer to just kneel, you can do that. So just sitting back on your heels. Whatever feels like it's going to be more therapeutic. So if you're doing child pose, seeing as we're sort of giving the shoulders a bit of love, you could bring the hands right back towards your hips. It's very nice for the shoulders. And it's nice also to completely drop the weight of your head. So there may be a bit of you that's kind of, I noticed this recently that I was sort of supporting my head, but I was still holding my head. So that happens that we kind of find it a little bit hard to let go of things. And there's this connection with the jaw and the shoulders and the pelvic area as well. The three kind of big, massive joints. So bear that in mind. If you're tensing around the jaw, then there's going to be a reaction down the body. You soften, maybe even part the lips a little, or let the tongue be full in the mouth. So I'm going to come up. If you're feeling like you've got bags of energy, then you could take a child pose, downward dog. If you feel like you want something a little gentler, then just you can stay kneeling. Either way, we're gonna take the right foot forward, so that we come into a lunge. And if you want a stronger lunge, you can have the back knee lifted. So the right foot forward. We're going to just pick up the right hand. And then let's just bring that hand behind the head, so the head is supported, and experimenting with lifting the elbow. And lowering it. Lifting it so you feel like sort of easing the shoulders a little bit. And then coming down, we're going to bring that right hand to the inside of the big toe. And let me just think. Yeah, we're using the belt. So we're bringing the right hand to the big toe, and we're going to lift up the left hand just for a moment. And really try and press the knee into the arm and the arm into the knee, so that you've got that stability in that lower, in the leg and the arm. So then hopefully the raised arm can be more kind of free. And then we're going to, this is where, we'll bring the arm down. We're going to take the belt in the right hand now. Make a little loop with the belt like we did earlier. And then we're going to see if we can bind with this using the belt. So the idea is that you get to experience the bind without straining your shoulders. So holding the belt in the right hand, we're weaving that right hand underneath the thigh, and then the left hand is going to reach for the belt. So we've got loads of space. And then we can gently pull that top shoulder back, and the belt should help with that. So this is it's a version of Utthita Pajvakonasana, which we've been doing lots of. And if you wanted to, from here, pick up the back knee, you could. But if you find that that's creating loads of tension in the shoulders, it's probably better just to keep the knee down. Really work on the bind without the. See if you can maintain this bind in a way that feels really therapeutic for the shoulders. So squeeze the top shoulder blade in towards the spine and pull the shoulders away from your ears. Soften the jaw. And we'll release. Put the belt down. Turn back towards your feet, hands either side, and we're going to just straighten that front leg. So we just get to stretch the leg a little bit. You can be on your fingertips and let your body lower over the leg. If your thighs are very tight, then just bend the knee. So even in this pose, there's loads of potential for creating tension in your shoulders. So you sort of make a special effort to make sure that the shoulders are pulled back a little, not straining forward. And now we'll bring our hands either side of the foot. You can bend the knee and just step back to downward dog or kneeling if you prefer. And then we'll come to the other leg. So just left foot forward. Left foot forward and lifting the left arm. We'll take the hand behind the head. So head is supported and try to turn the chest. Breathing. And then we'll go the other way. So we'll take that hand to the inside of the leg. You can squeeze it in. So you've got a nice little bit of a conversation going on between the leg and the knee. They're pressing into each other, and then let the other arm flow up. So with this pose, sometimes it is actually better not to have the arm fully extended if your shoulders are sore. That's what I figured out, having had lots of people come with sore shoulders. You just have to lift a bent arm, which is a bit disappointing for people, but it's better than, it's often better. So we can do the binding now when you're ready. So to take the belt in the left hand, you're creating a little loop, and then weave that belt arm under the leg and reach for the loop with your right hand. Gently. So we're holding this bind and trying to make it really feel good for the shoulders. Shoulders down away from your ears and back. If you wanted to lift the back knee, you could do that. It's a version of Utthita Parsvakonasana, which we've been doing lots of. Soften your face. And in a moment we will come out, so just take your time, take one last breath. And coming out, and you can, because I think this is strong on that front leg, so let's just sort of loosen it off a bit by coming into the sort of like runner's lunge. You can be on your fingertips. Front leg straight, left leg straight. And then you're going to come back. So the knee bends, your body moves forward. And we can step into downward dog for a moment. One last downward dog. And then walk your feet forward, and we're taking a forward fold. So to be really stable, take your feet a bit wider than perhaps you normally would. And you can bend the knees quite a bit as well if you prefer, and let the body just drop down. Letting the spine unwind. If you'd like to hold your elbows so you're not even supporting your torso, you can kind of swing your arms between your legs. That can feel really nice. You can take that option. And then coming down, we're just going to take a comfortable seat. So you could be cross-legged or kneeling. And we'll come back to that. Probably feels like not a lot is happening, but it's quite interesting to do subtle things. You don't always have to be doing really majorly strong things. So we're going to use the belt again. We're going to hold the belt in the right hand. We're just going to take the left hand and reach round for the belt. So you can, of course, use just the grip of the hand if you prefer. So that's an option as well. But just notice, is that adding a little tension? Can you create a feeling of more ease by just holding the belt? This is a bit separate, but in Chinese medicine, they talk about ideally you hold an egg underneath your armpit to have that feeling of sort of openness throughout the upper body. So if you're gripping with your arms, it's hard to keep, for me anyway, the feeling of an egg being held under my armpit. So just gently letting the shoulder back, and you can even look at your shoulder to help to guide it. So it's another technique to correct ourselves, just looking and feeling, of course. So we're trying to really encourage this shoulder, the bent one, to drop down. Let's take the opposite ear and drop it towards that shoulder. I think I've got it right, that it's the left shoulder that is the bent arm. And then we're going to drop the right ear. And you can gently nod your head, very gently, to add in, yeah, just to make it a little bit more satisfying, up and down or side to side. So you've got that nice feeling of opening down the left side. You can also lean back a bit into the bent arm, so almost like it's a little bit of support for your lumbar. Not excessively, but just a little bit. Yeah, that the breath is coming in and out, cooling everything down. Just be aware where if there's a bit of you resisting. So I caught myself holding a lot of tension in my jaw just then. So you have to kind of keep looking because it creeps in. Well, maybe it doesn't for you, but for me, it does. So in a moment we'll come up. You might find that you want to support the head to come up, so you can release the belt, bring the right hand under the head and just support the head back. And then we'll release both hands and rest for a moment. Hands on the legs. So we'll go to the other side. So take your belt again. And we're going to just wrap that right hand around. And we're using the left arm just to sort of help guide that right shoulder. Have a look at it. With love. And then your left ear, if you're comfortable to drop it, you can begin to let it drop towards the You can also do that little nodding thing, up and down, or maybe side to side, or something a little bit different if you prefer. You can even take your chin towards the left ear. We're doing it with love. Shoulders see so much action, and it's Friday, definitely deserve a bit of love. Just one more breath here. We'll take the left hand, release the belt and just sort of guide your head back up. And then rest your hands for a moment. So we just do a little bit tapping on the tops of the shoulders. Oh, actually, before we do that, I'll show you a point in the hand, because I think when we're in that sort of tightened state in the shoulder, there's usually a psychological state accompanying it. And the large intestine, believe it or not, is one of the meridians in Chinese medicine that is associated with holding on, and obviously it's very much associated with digestion, but it also is connected with other mental states and all sorts of other kinds of holding patterns. So typically gripping around the jaw and the shoulders. So one of the points is when you bring your thumb and your forefinger together, you'll feel a mound. And then it's also used for headaches and obstructions generally in the body. So we're going to just give that a little rub. So it can feel quite sore sometimes. Massaging. So the theme is letting go of that sort of point. I can't remember the name of it now. It's large intestine 4. That could be on, digestion. Often digestion is something that is affected, isn't it, when we're kind of, in a high stress state and not functioning very well. You can do the other side as well. Just find the thumb and press the thumb and forefinger together, and you'll feel that little mound. And if you work around the area, you won't go wrong. Don't worry too much about the precise point, because it's a relatively small area, and you're just working into that area. And then there's a point up here, obviously right in the area of problem area. It's a gallbladder point, and you can make a little fist, make it quite floppy and loose, and give it a little pummel. Just, obviously you don't want to create tension in the application of this. So I keep the wrist quite floppy. You can go to the other side. So it's called Douyin. So, talking to someone the other day, and he was telling me that he'd spent quite a bit of time in China, and he saw them all in the park doing this in the morning. So, and then when you've had enough, just rest your hands for a moment. We're going to just enjoy that releasing sensation. Sometimes you can do things that are really good for the body, and then if you rush ahead, kind of shut it down, what the opportunity for the full release to occur. So let your hands be very relaxed and heavy. Maybe even visualize a flow down, all the way down the arms, as though you were draining out all that tension. So feel like it is also very nice to do a little supportive back arch for the shoulders as well. So if you have a bolster, you can use a bolster. Blocks can work, books, there's a whole different, you could roll up your yoga mat or a rug So the support is going to come around the back of the heart, or the lower part of the shoulder blade. And yeah, just a rolled up blanket would work as well, but firm is good. And I would suggest coming down with bent legs first, rather than straight legs, so you can have a bit more control. Find something under the head might be good as well, because you might not want to, especially if you've got quite a big lift, you might not want to have your head dropping back too far. Or you could make a hammock for your head with your hands, so you're supporting your head and slowly lowering it. Hope you're all okay with that. Sometimes what I've noticed with this pose is sometimes people feel uncomfortable in it, and actually what they need is a higher lift. So don't discount that. If you think you can't get comfy, it might just be your body's quite long and you actually need something higher. So, otherwise you'll feel cramped in it. And when you lift the chest, it's the shoulders have the opportunity to drop back a little bit, so it kind of creates a bit of free space and a bit of, hopefully, sense of freedom around the shoulders. You can take your arms overhead if you wanted to and hold the elbows or hold the wrists, but if you felt like that felt a bit intense, you might prefer just having the arms out, like airplane arms, sort of out to the side, or maybe even lower, or that double U shape that we made when we were in the lunge, something like that might work better. So your body, understanding and attending to that, the different needs. And if you want to extend the legs, sometimes that feels really, really good. And you could do that in quite a dynamic way. You could kind of really press out through your feet. But you could also just be more in a restorative, not really trying to do anything. It can make you feel a bit vulnerable. So just be aware of that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Even a little bit of discomfort, depending on what. Certainly you don't want sharp pain, but if your back's quite stiff and it feels a bit sore, that's kind of to be expected. Not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong. And so you can have another breath or two here. And then when you're ready, you can begin to come out. So I'd suggest bending your knees first,
And then pressing your hands back to the floor, and or you could, if you need support for your head, you could have your hands behind your head. Take a bit of time to come up. I did want to do one more thing, which maybe is, I hope you'll find quite restful, but it's nice for opening up that area a little bit more. And it's all you have to do is lie down again. And you're going to lie on your side, and instead of what we normally do, which is often I'll have your arm out in front, you're going to lie on your side with your arm behind you. So you want something under your head. We won't spend very long here, it's a little bit strong, but I think you've hopefully opened up enough. So you're going to take your arm back behind you, and so you're kind of crushing your arm a little bit. So often the other way to come into this is to lie on your front, I'm starting with my right arm, and then just roll over onto your right side. And you can, you can just rest like that. So you're putting some weight into the body weight into the top of the arms. And I hope it's going to feel good, especially when you feel relaxed, because then you can kind of just drop your weight. Adjust it if you need to. So a way to adjust it is to have the arm not quite so high, back towards the hips and buttocks. A breath or two more here. And then you can go the other way. So you're just going to you can just roll onto your front and then roll to the other side, or I'm going to turn my head to the other end so I can still see you. So we're crushing a little bit the arm with our own weight. And the top of the shoulder. And your challenge is to really let go. And maybe there's a bit of caution, because you're probably worried that you might hurt your shoulder, but you can take it in stages, let go bit by bit. The jaw, the tongue, the eyes, the belly, the throat. And then when you're ready, you can just roll back and take your Shavasana. No rush. Take it slow and smooth. Get what you need if you do need And do get, so optimum position with the shoulders is that you want, hopefully, there's this feeling of them moving down away from your ears. Just keep that in mind. You can gently squeeze your shoulder blades together a little to open up the front of the chest. And also a sense of the front of the shoulder dropping back a little. And letting go, practicing letting go, like peeling away the layers, discarding the layers bit by bit. And there's different ways you can experience that. One is just allowing the body to be heavy. Really let each limb go. The belly, even the bits that maybe you feel you should be holding back, like around the belly or thighs, buttocks. Another technique is to notice the sensations, the kind of more subtle body sensations. So maybe a sense of tingling in the fingers and the toes. Or the crown of the head, up and down the spine. So then you're allowing yourself to be absorbed by the prana, the chi, and maybe even a sense of melting into that. And enjoying that feeling. Be aware of the body breathing. You sense the body being breathed. So when you're ready, you can begin to bring some movements back into the fingers, the toes, maybe roll your head from left to right. If you're not ready, then just rest as you are. And you can roll onto your side. And come up. And sit for a moment, just taking a comfortable seat. We'll take wisdom mudra, so thumb, forefinger, or jhana mudra. You're going to just rest the backs of the hands against your legs, and even here there's an opportunity to kind of relax the shoulders and be a bit mindful about how you're holding them. Maybe lightly pressing down through the back of the hand, lift up a little bit so you can be more at ease. And then we're directing our focus to that point between the thumb and the forefinger. And softening everything else, just holding that point of focus. So we'll finish bringing the thumbs together and rest them on your forehead at the third eye. Thank you very much, everyone. Very nice, very, very nice to yoga with you all. Thank you. Have a lovely evening. Hope you're all okay.
Thank you, that was great, Heidi, thank you.
Your bed looks amazing. I mean, whatever it is you're lying on.
Oh, it's this ginormous beanbag thing, which is very comfortable, I have to say.